Nice to see you, and really, really excited to share our plans to work together next year. Freeing the body of aches, pains, tension, toxins, and everything else. I think it's much needed in this world that we live in. And I've had the privilege of working with you over the last few months, and I have been energized and revitalized and
Wonderful.
just feeling
Yes.
amazing. Just this new leash on life. So I just wanted to just chat first and find out how you got into what you do. We can tell the listeners a little bit about you and what you do.
Healthy. I never had a reason to have to find answers. Although I had quite a few of cancer cases in my family, I saw the warning signs and I started, being focused on health a little bit. And then when my first baby was born, I had to make decisions for another human, and that sort of propelled me heavily into, instead of asking how can I lose weight, I wanted to know how can I gain more energy. And the book that was pressed into my hand was a book called The Perfect Health of Mary Ann Shearer, and she and her family eat fruits only, which I sort of laughed off at that stage. But the book was dedicated to food combinations, and that was something I applied straight away. And I gained a lot of energy just from this, just from not combining your carbs and your proteins anymore. And then my second boy was born, my second child was born. He's a boy, and he was quite ill. I had to find answers for him. And, I was on this beautiful naturopathic route where we ate very limited game meat, and we had all the kefirs and kombuchas and all the oils and the tinctures, and really a beautiful protocol for him. And he got better, but he never healed. He never gained his full energy, and he was never a full healthy boy. So for a couple of months, I went in deep again and I did more research. And I came across Dr. Robert Morse, and all the studies I've done on the body by then, and all the questions I had was sort of like answered by him, like divinely, and I was so excited to meet this person and this new mentor of mine. And then he tells me I have to eat fruit only to heal. I almost made a backflip. I was so angry. I walked away. I was like, this is absolutely insane. How can we live without our proteins? How can we live without the oils and the stuff that we've learned we need from food? It's not in fruit. How can we do this? And decided to try it to prove him wrong. And I did it. At that stage, I was already detoxing on and off for about 5 years. I already did liver detoxes and lung detoxes and protocols for the kidneys and stuff like that. I facilitated for small groups of people already by then, really thinking we are detoxing. And as I started on the fruit detox, by the third to 6 weeks, it was shown to me how detoxing looks, what it looks like if mucus really starts leaving your body and when your body really starts showing the changes of healing. And needless to say, I was completely proven wrong. And I went way deep into that rabbit hole. Now, fast forward 5 years, I've been facilitating it for hundreds of people, close to 1,000. I've literally seen firsthand how every individual that applies it, they are those that try to apply it, but they don't actually apply it. They have different mixed feelings about it, but those that actually apply it, they all heal. Doesn't matter what they sit with, they all heal. And it doesn't happen overnight, of course. They go on this healing path of healing, and those that persist heal. I've not come across a case that have applied eating fruits only and not acquired what they set out to acquire. And yeah, I mean, the mainstream medicine call it spontaneous healing, right? That's the word they use for it. There's many people that comes back to me and go like, yeah, the doctor said I experienced spontaneous healing. And in the meantime, it really is about understanding the mechanics of the body and then living accordingly, and in the simplicity of it. And yeah, so fruits has really changed my life. I'm still aspiring to be a full-time fruitarian, which there are many people out there that lives only on fruits and nothing else. I still sort of visit it every year. I try to do 4 to 6 months of fruit only, and every time I can see the changes in my iris, how I heal. I can of course feel it in my body. The you reach a stage, and I think it's different for each person when that exactly is. But for me, it's about 3 to 5 weeks in, where you go into who you really actually are potentially can be on the level of awareness, where everything that has been clogging you has been sort of fallen off, and you're now on this route of healing, and you are aware and you're awake and you are present. And oh my God, it's so addictive. That place, is what I'm trying for every time when I jump in, because you reach that space and your whole life makes sense and everything is under control, and you are so in control and aware of what you're doing, and what you are able to do. So it's really a superhuman thing, fruits. It makes us superhuman. Nothing can go, no designed plan or toxin or medicine or anything that is against life can take hold of you if you are in a space where you're fully decongested and your river is flowing and there's no obstruction and your body works the way it was designed to work. We are invincible then. It's very exciting.
Absolutely. And I feel your energy as you speak, and I can feel the excitement, because that's exactly how I felt. I thought, let's give it a try, because as you know, I work with a lot of trauma, and clearing that from the body, which is quite big. But when I delved into this, I just felt amazing. I've always known I've had a sluggish lymph, and I've always been healthy in terms of what I eat. I've never eaten dairy, well, I avoid dairy and wheat where possible, especially outside the house. But inside the house, we just don't have it. But when you spoke about the lymph, for me, that was where you got me. And I was, okay, I'm in. I'm going to try this. And I love fruit. I'm a complete fruit fly. So I've always eaten loads of fruit since I was tiny. So for me, it was easy. If you just tell me to eat fruit, I'd be like, oh my gosh. The only time that I thought it's going to be hard was at nighttime, when everyone's eating more savory food, or, you know, just around the braai and things like that, or the barbecue for those who are not South African. And you just notice, actually, it's so possible. I hosted a few dinners and a few book clubs,
Yeah.
and was able to just carry on with my fruit. I mean, avocado and tomatoes are fruits. So actually, there's I'd arrive with a whole a whole tomato, and a
Yeah.
mango, and that was delicious for dinner. Really delicious. Um, and I agree with you 100%. I could feel the difference. My skin's looking amazing. My body's feeling amazing. The elasticity, the
Absolutely.
flexibility, and the agility that I've got. Like, I can sit with my leg quite close to my body now, and I was like, I'm usually quite fit, and I know, like, I'm flexible, but this was another level. It's almost like the gunk that was sitting in between the cells and the muscles. Um, and your words to me, the once was, you're losing the muscle that was created by the acidic ash, or the acidic forming food, or the proteins that we'd built up with. And now all of a sudden it was more leaner muscle and more, yeah. So it's
Absolutely.
so fascinating and so interesting. But I agree with you. The level of awareness is huge. Everything has shifted for me completely. I've
Oh, yeah.
definitely moved up a few levels in terms of awareness. Um, and I thought the work I was doing was amazing on that level. But adding this to the TRE has just been, and the
No,
QEC, has just
absolutely.
been
What makes me
incredible.
so excited about the tremor release exercises is it's another level of detox, isn't it? It's just a little bit more electromagnetic in a way. It's a little bit less physical, although it does have physical results in the body and chemical results in the body. It is a little bit more electromagnetic, a little more physics, and how you can actually do this detox without having to relive it. You can literally trust the body now to release that cell memory and that obstruction, which is just another level of detox, which is amazing to combine this with the more chemistry side of things, where you go onto the chemistry of your food and the chemistry of your body and actually mechanically fixing it, to get rid of the obstructions. So it's a beautiful combination, the two. I'm very excited about it.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And for me, with the TRE, just releasing that stuck patterning, right? That contraction, that deep contraction that sits within the body. and sometimes we don't even realize we're in a holding state or a holding pattern. We're so busy surrounding ourselves with
Mm.
distractions that we've created in this world. Food was a big distraction, obviously, as well, that we've created. I mean, when I was on the fruit diet and I went into London for the day, that is a game changer, because all of a sudden you
Mm.
realize all
Yeah.
this dead food that we're eating, all of this, all the pastries, all the bread, and it's delicious, and it's on every corner, and every second shop is selling it. But
Absolutely.
wow, it's a lot. No wonder we are tired. No wonder we have no energy, and no wonder everyone's fueled on coffee, something that has never agreed with me, actually. It always made me really jittery.
Mm.
So I've naturally avoided that as well. But moving just on the fruit has been incredible. And I'm really excited to do this collaboration with you and see how the healing of our clients and the benefit from both healing from both inside
Mm.
and within the structural fascia, um, how that
Mm.
will help with both the detox. It'd be interesting to see how your clients will shift, adding the TRE into their usual
Mm.
detox, to see if it
I'm
speeds it
sure
up
it's actually going to
or what
help quite
else
a few
happens.
people to complete the detoxing, because what happens a lot with, especially I find with the older males specifically, is they don't have the tools to deal with the emotional healing that happens the moment you start detoxing. Because remember, if you let go of accumulated stuff, it all carries an energy. And many times you're going to release energy and accumulated toxins of years ago when you were a child or whenever, and that comes with the emotions that came with that time when that waste was accumulated. So I had many older males, especially, telling me straight that they don't have the emotional depth to deal with this now. They're actually okay with the physical side of things, but the emotions that comes up, they don't have the time and the tools to deal with it. And I think this, dealing with the tremor release exercises will really help them to deal with it without, like I said, going through the having to form the words and the thoughts in your mind again, but actually just trusting your body to let it go. So I'm very excited to see how it's actually going to bring more success to the table for many people, where many people walked away from the detox because it became so intense, but now they have a tool to actually hands-on deal with that.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you there. And especially because when we do have a trauma or something like that,
Mm.
it sits in the cellular memory of the body. So obviously, as you're detoxing and the lymph is clearing out all those old cells, then
Yep.
obviously
Yep.
that comes to the surface,
Mm.
right? From your perspective. And then from my perspective, it's about just tremoring and letting it go and staying with the body. And if we stay with the body, we don't get wrapped into um, that neocortex and the story that the mind keeps playing over, where the emotion
Mm.
sits and where we end up going down another rabbit hole. So by bringing it back to the body and staying with the body, you're able just to ride that wave as the fight and flight
Yeah.
cycle is completed, basically. So that would be
And I think the
incredible to
the
do.
the organ or the gland that basically connects these two methods would be the adrenals as well. Now you've mentioned the fight and flight. We're looking at the autonomic nervous system, which is where this is kind of the software of our nervous system. We've got the central nervous system, which is like the hardware, and then the autonomic nervous system are highly dependent on the functionality of the adrenals. The adrenals produce the neurotransmitters that actually instruct the automatic movements like breathing, heartbeat, winking your eye, and then of course your conscious movements as well, picking up your arm, that kind of thing. This is all communicated by neurotransmitters produced by the adrenals mostly. There are some other places neurotransmitters are produced, but the main ones are produced by the adrenals, and these are the guys that sits right on top of the kidneys. So this is the place where your body is supposed to get rid of its sewage if the channels are open. So now you can imagine what it looks like down there if the body has been sending sewage there and it hasn't been able to eliminate successfully. And I mean, of all the people I've helped, there's only a handful whose kidneys was filtering when I met them. So this bottom part of our bodies becomes so overly acidic and congested, which is where the adrenals are, that the adrenals become either hypo or hyper, which means that they become confused. They either produce too much of something or too little of something. The feedback loop to the pituitary gland to instruct the adrenals to move is obstructed. There's so many obstruction and congestion that is in the way of the correct levels of chemistry to play out in your body for you to function normally every day, for you to not be anxious as you deal with life, for you to be in a space where your stress is in a either not there or manageable. And this is very much connected with the adrenals. So as we get to heal the adrenals on a cellular level, as we get to hydrate this lymphatic fluid and actually open up the elimination process so that it leaves the body successfully, it frees up every cell in the body. If we go back to the adrenals, it frees up all the cells of the adrenals. So now for the first time, they're not suffocated. They're actually free to receive nutrition and oxygen to regenerate themselves. And you will get to a place where your adrenals are fully regenerated. There will be no fatigue anymore, none whatsoever. If you now can combine this with the tremor release exercises as a treatment and release even more of the accumulated stress and the weaknesses that has transpired because of this accumulation of stress and the chemistry that goes with it. It is just such a beautiful combination to fast track you to the place where you are dealing with life in dynamic energy, which means every cell in your body, anything between 50 and 100 trillion cells, are fully energetic, are fully energized, are fully healthy. Now you can call yourself healthy. Now you're a healthy host of 100 trillion cells, and they all have dynamic energy. You don't need to look at stimulants like coffee and meat that's got neurotransmitters and to kick your adrenals on high so that you experience a little bit of chemistry that picks you up, just so that you fall down again when that's done. Now you're actually sitting in a very stable space where your patience, your perseverance, and this influence your relationship with your colleagues, your family members, yourself, your environment, your whole life changes. It's so much more than just becoming a healthy vehicle. You become a
Yeah.
healthy entity that deals with life just so much better.
Absolutely, and I felt it definitely. I mean, doing the work that I do, obviously trauma, kidneys and adrenals are definitely highly affected, whether it's from that traumatic experience or years and years of accumulation of toxins, or burnout.
Mm,
And burnout I've actually had 3 times in my lifetime. Once at university, once early in starting a new job, and then obviously just after having the hijacking that I was involved in. And you realize when you have burnout to such a degree and for 3 different times, and now that I can look back over hindsight and see what went wrong, where it went, you can kind of join the dots. But the adrenals and the kidneys and the amount of sleep that I needed was a lot. And since going on to the fruit, I've just see a huge shift in myself. All of a sudden, I'm able to stay awake later, and I'm kind of watching myself, watching the clock, and thinking, why am I not in bed already? And then not being as tired in the morning, and that's been fascinating. And I'm
yeah.
like, do I not need as much sleep? Am I getting older? And I remember my grandparents, them needing less and less sleep as they got older. But then I'm thinking, no, this can't be. But this is all the fruit. All my cells are being rejuvenated and energized. And then doing testing the kidneys and the adrenals. I don't think my kidneys are still flushing properly, but I still got this beautiful effect. So I'm just going to keep going with you until I get to that space
Absolutely.
of optimal health, right? Because I think we have got all the tools that we need, right? We've just been conditioned to believe that we need all these other things out there. We have to have a plate filled with meat and, and starch, and then salad or whatever it is, veggies. But then we also need supplements because the deterioration of the soil, and we also need this and we also need that. And before you know it, we've been plowing everything into the system, and the body's stressed and with abundance of just too much. And what I realize now after doing the work with you is that we are clogged. We're just clogging all the wheels, and we actually we can still eat abundantly. And that's what I found with the fruit, because I was also worried, like, oh, how much fruit can I eat? But I just stuffed my face, and I was like, this is amazing, because I'm not feeling hungry. I'm not feeling irritated and frustrated. Where when I've started now reintroducing meat, the day after I'm angry, weirdly,
Mm-hmm.
and my family's picking that up. And also, what else do I feel? I'm very sluggish by the afternoon of the following day after meat. And I'm like, wow, my body's actually battling to process it. Um, what is your take on that? The
Oh, most
sluggishness on the
definitely.
next day?
I've you know, played with myself many times in the sense of figuring out how would I feel after a food diet, eating a bunch of starches, eating a bunch of meats. And the meats I find takes up to 6 days to actually be processed through my system. I don't know if this is the same for other people out there, but I literally have the last of it leave my system literally in 6 days after I've eaten it. And what for me is very interesting as an observer with my children when they go visit their dad, where they on a complete mainstream diet, how they would come back swollen, so they look fatter, but they're actually swollen. They lose it within 3 days of not eating the inflammatory food. And then their emotions are ripped up. They are so insecure, they are frustrated, they lose their cool much sooner. And I wouldn't say anything, but literally about 3 weeks in with them being back with me, they would start noticing, Mom, everything is so calm actually, hey? And or Mom, I don't feel like this anymore, and they're just so much calmer. They're cool, and this is the difference. I think if one thing boils down to this detox, what we need to remember, we're speaking of congestion. The congestion becomes the obstruction, but the reason the congestion is there is because of acidity. Our body creates the congestion like cholesterol and calcium that the body many times takes from the matrix to actually protect the flesh, the tissue of the body from the acids that's in this lymphatic fluid. It's the acids that burns and corrodes and make things coagulate, stick together. So if you start appreciating acids and alkalinity and what it does to your body. Certain foods have a acid ash that it leaves, others have an alkaline ash that it leaves. And Western diet, 95% of the food we eat leaves an acid ash. So people are actually sitting 3 times a day with snacks in between, stuffing themselves with protein that most of the time thinking they're actually doing a good thing. And it just keeps on adding to the acids to their body. And this is the reason their body then learns to survive by literally producing more lipids, producing more alkaline things like cholesterol and stuff, which becomes the solution becomes the problem because that becomes the traffic jams. That's the reason people sit with diabetes 2. Diabetes 2 is literally when your body has the sugar doesn't get to the cells. So there's too much sugar in the blood and the body keeps on producing insulin. So now they tell you you're insulin resistant. But there's enough insulin and there's enough sugar, but it cannot reach the cell. There's too much between the sugar and the cell. That's basically what diabetes 2 is, and like you said, it is this, it's too much. It's too much and too acid. So by going into the alkaline world, alkalinity is cool. Base elements are cool, and it's not inflated. It doesn't burn. And this is the emotions you start experiencing when you start going into the world of alkalinity. We were speaking about anger versus patience, for instance. Anger is an acidic emotion. Patience is an alkaline emotion. So all your subtle bodies, your mental and your emotional body, are influenced by either the acidity or the alkalinity. You can't get away from it. It's there's an equal sign. If one thing happens to the one body, the other bodies follow. So it's very exciting to know we have this tangible way. We've got this
Absolutely.
physical, tangible way to actually make a change. Change the food that's on our plate to bring in this change. You don't have to. It's nice to pray. I'm a big prayer myself, but many times you pray and it's not a very tangible thing to do. You're hoping and you're manifesting, but it's still this very kind of gray space that we're in with. We're still learning to operate. And while if you bring it down to what's on your plate, it becomes a very tangible and controllable way of bringing change for yourself. It's very exciting, actually.
It's very exciting, and I love the way you explained everything there, especially this type 2 type 2 diabetes with the excess sugar, and there's enough of everything,
Mm.
but there's just too much. The body just can't absorb it. Really makes great sense in my head. But at the end of the day, it's all down to biochemistry, right? Everything, we are a like a beaker, and we just keep adding all these different substances that make chemical reactions that then create and make us feel a certain way, which evolve into emotions, which then, you know,
Mhm.
make us behave in certain ways, which then creates the actions and the reactions and the traumas or whatever else that we happens in our life. So actually, if it comes back down to it, and in my teaching and what I try and teach people is to be empowered with bringing their nervous system down. And if they can bring their nervous system down to baseline, then no matter what else happens out there in the world,
Mhm.
because you don't know what's going to happen as soon as you open your door,
Mhm.
you're equipped because your nervous system is low. And because your nervous system is low, you've got so much more
Mhm.
room before you get to that anger or rage. But if you leave
Yes.
the door up there, you're going to flip within seconds. And what you're bringing is this beautiful way of, well, if we eat from an alkaline state, or keep eating and create an alkaline state, again, our body is cool, and our nervous system will also come down. Everything works together beautifully. So, I mean, it's a no-brainer for me. You kind of want to stand on the rooftops again. It's another
Yeah.
TRE was my first one, when I wanted to stand on top of the rooftops and say everyone should be doing this because it's such a good tool to have. But adding yours as well with the, and it's so simple. It's abundance of fruit available to us. We just need to be guided and to be
Mm.
shown that
Mm.
this is actually okay. you know. And I mean, I've been doing this for you with the last 2 months, and I'm amazed, and my friends around me are shocked, and they're also noticing that I've lost a lot of weight, and also intrigued, and asking questions about why aren't you eating your protein, and where you're getting this from, and how are you doing all this. And it's actually incredible because we've been conditioned to be eating X amount of meat, X amount of starch, X amount of, and I think it's all come out from the war days, right? And industrialization and all of that stuff. We made
Mm.
factories to
Mm.
produce food where we don't need all of this. We need beautiful sunshine and good earth and
Yeah.
abundance of
And
water,
even the
and
water,
we're good to
I've been
go.
my studies now recently has taken me into they actually another name that they give the lymphatic fluid is H3O, which is a fourth type of water the scientists now claim to have discovered.
Mm.
And the only place it exists is inside the human body. And what's so interesting, the structured water that you find in fruits is called H3O2. So when you eat fruits, you actually score an oxygen molecule. The oxygen molecule breaks free and oxygenates you more, and then you are left with H3O, which then contributes to the water,
Wow.
the actual water, the lymphatic
Wow.
fluid in your body. So actually H2O is a dehydrating factor. It's actually a solvent more than a hydrating factor for us. There's this other guy in America that's now, I think, on day 180 something, eating only watermelon, not drinking any water, trying to prove this specific point that you do not need H2O to survive. You actually need to be hydrated on a cellular level, which is the fluid that runs between the cells,
Mm.
which is called the lymphatic fluid, or H3O then. So that's also very interesting that, when you go on the fruits thing, you really actually get to a point where you don't drink water. First thought it was alarming. I would completely forget to drink water when I'm on fruits only. I would force myself to have at least 2 glasses a day. And now that I'm going into this study, it's also quite, refreshing to realize that the fruits, scientifically now, they're proving that the fruits have the hydrating factor we need, much more so than even H2O.
Yeah, and that's incredible of what you're telling me. It sounds, I mean, it's all amazing, but it actually sounds really, it lands really well. So
Mm.
it makes me feel like this is incredible. And I've noticed it as well when I was on the fruit diet. I don't drink as much. I usually drink 8 glasses a day, and my mom really got drummed it into us to drink water, all the time. So we did. but now I'm noticing I'm not drinking as much water because I am hydrated. My body is hydrated. And I'd love to do that skin test, to see how quickly the skin goes down. I remember doing it with my grandparents, and theirs would stay up for a long time. But my skin has definitely got more elastic and more hydrated since doing your protocol. So I just wanted to think it's time for us to just talk about how we're looking at taking this forward and the 28-day, how we're incorporating it, and just what you can tell people, something that you want to tell the listeners, what to experience and what to look out for, and how this will be different
Yeah,
for the
sure.
28
So I
days.
structured the 28 days really as a kind of in-depth introduction to the notion of healing on fruits. You will heal some in 28 days. It's not like you won't experience healing. What's beautiful about the fruit healing is it is so radical that the healing starts showing in day 2. You already start seeing the changes in day 2, but not many of us will heal everything that is amiss in 28 days. So it really is an in-depth introduction to the notion. So in this time, you receive daily connection from me via Telegram group, where I sort of take you through the story, in a sequential way, where we first start with the elimination process and go into the other processes. Weight loss is quite a bonus for many, but there's people that comes to me so skinny they don't want to lose anything more. And then unfortunately I have to share with them the news that they will be losing weight because their body will be shedding all the acids in their body. So they will be losing weight. No one can walk away from this without having lost weight. But the only way I know now they can pick up the weight is to actually go through the process, lose the acids, get the cells to restore themselves so that your digestion, absorption, and utilization processes are restored. And that's when you start picking up weight again. So it doesn't matter which one you want to do, you have to go through this healing process. And so some people start losing weight literally from day one. Other people take a few weeks before they start losing weight. If you are heavily overweight, you can lose up to 20 kgs in 1 month. If you are detoxing if you focus on the lymph, which is a very healthy way to lose that kind of weight. You're not starving yourself at all. You're actually, for the first time in your life, probably giving your body the body cells what they really want and what they really need by switching to fruits. So it's not a starvation. It really is an elimination of stagnancy, of congestion. So that's definitely something people can look out for. Some people's healing journey can be quite intense. I, for instance, didn't have many healing crises. My biggest challenge I dealt with was I was coughing a lot of mucus. I had up to 2 cups of mucus coming out of my lungs every day. So it affected kind of what places I could visit socially and be accepted at, kind of thing, because you don't want to swallow it either. So you sort of had to. That was basically the extent of my healing crisis. And then I also experienced losing my mucoid plaque one time. It was 24 hours of feeling quite nauseous. And then I thought I was losing my intestines. I didn't know about the mucoid plaque yet. This is a plaque that the body creates on the inside of your intestines to protect it from the abrasive acid foods we eat. So when you start cutting out meat, dairy, and gluten, those 3 specifically, then you will start losing it. I lost it in one go. Like I said, I thought I was losing my intestine. It was a 6 foot something that dropped from my body, and Googled it, thank goodness, and figured out there's something like a mucoid plaque, and other people lose it in pieces during, yeah. Other
Oh,
people will lose
wow.
it in normal bowel movements, pieces of it. It's like a black grayish translucent substance that is quite rubbery as well. So that was the extent of mine. When I started facilitating it for people, I was introduced to very extreme healing crises in some cases. Some cases people come to you because they are feeling diseased already. And the moment they start going onto the fruits, their body now can push out whatever was lying underneath. So some people dive right into a cold and flu-like situation, or into heavy cramping, heavy headaches. If they've been sitting with headaches, they go into that. You sort of have to move through it to get through it, And another one that's quite intense. There's two cases that I find people need sort of hands-on preparation to help themselves through it. And when I say preparation, it's my basically having the necessary herbal support and then the mental support to know what's coming, and that you're okay, that you don't have to now stress out because of what is happening. One of them would be the people that sits with extremely low kidney and adrenal function when their blood pressure are really, really low already before they start. So now they are used to the chemistry in their body by living on stimulants. So these are the guys usually heavy reliant on coffee and these kind of substances. So when they start cutting this out, their energy levels go even lower. Because that's where they're going to heal from. That's where they start working on their dynamic energy now. And they go into this window period where they have extreme low energy. Fluctuating, luckily, because of the digestive energy they save, and there's a lot of other metabolizing energy processes that they're saving on. They do have fluctuating energy, but the main thing that they're suffering off at that stage would be fatigue. And there they rely heavily on herbs and just also having the capability of keeping space for themselves going through it. And then another one that can be quite intense is if someone have been sitting with a lot of UTIs, so they're very acidic in the urinary tract and in their bladder. And now if those acids start moving, there's not much space between it and the kidneys. It is just, everything is just there. So you experience high level of burning and acids as you go through it. So many people would see this as a urinary tract infection. They would want to go the normal route of antibiotics, which is the last thing you want to do. But you can't really use something that takes it away for you. You sort of can use herbs to make it better as you deal with it, but you're gonna have to sort of deal with it, and it takes a few weeks to deal with it, and then you're through it. That's always what I make them focus on, is you're gonna deal with it on a daily basis for a few weeks, 3 to 6 weeks, depending on where you're at. But then you're through it. Then that acids are gone. It's not something that's just gonna pop back again a few months from now. So those are the extreme cases. The general guys usually experience the ups. They usually experience the increase in energy, the niggles and pains here and there as things are just sort of getting on the move. I would say about 70% of the people are in that category. And then you get that 30% that deals with a little bit more intense situations.
Yeah. Well, I must say, I do think that the TRE might be able to help in that regard when there's so much pain and suffering, because it just will help the body shift a little bit quicker instead of holding on, or the resistance that's
Yeah.
holding them back from that perspective. So I'm quite interested to see, because for my journey with you, it wasn't that painful. It wasn't that. I definitely did feel the energy dip, and the low blood pressure is what I definitely do suffer from. But usually I would have like something to eat, like a date, or usually my go-to would be dark chocolate, which I love. That's probably the only real stimulant besides meat that I used to eat properly. But just noticing how my body digests that, and how that affects my adrenals and my kidneys. But yeah, I want to move past that. I want to move to heal my adrenals and my kidneys. Um,
Mm,
yeah, so that they're fully functioning and abundant. My take on all of this is I am sort of coming up to the halfway mark. I'm 47 now, and I want to actually rejuvenate the body to such a degree that I have got longevity and health and abundance of energy to play with my kids and my grandkids and everyone else that comes along, and to do the work that I'm passionate about, and help other people heal, because I think we just need to stop what we're doing and get off this rat race, this treadmill, and actually
mm,
just focus on ourselves. We're so busy pleasing others and putting others first and working for others, right? That we forget that without us, they can't do their work. So we've got to make sure we are 100% healthy, and it's like
mm,
creating a strong foundation, I suppose. If we are
mm,
strong and healthy, then then the world can operate, you know. But if we are weak and all cracked up and diseased, then
Yeah,
that's what
no,
will
that's
the
a
rest of the
fact.
earth will
Eh?
be as well.
Also, something I was thinking about is the electromagnetic frequencies that has such a huge effect on us on a cellular level. How that would be combated by tremor release exercises because it's electromagnetic
Mm,
frequencies that's being released, isn't it? So that's quite exciting as well. You know, so many people ask what can they do to protect themselves against 5G and all these technology that we now know is very detrimental for biological life. And this method of eating fruits sort of came as an answer again for that for me as well, because if you have cells that is in a like rubber ducks floating separately in a swimming pool, if your cells can float separately in your lymphatic fluid, if there's the EMF coming through, the rubber ducks, the cells will simply just make way, and it would exit you without combating and coming head to head with a cell that brings the biological damage that's been proven over and over. And then whatever electromagnetic damage could have been attached to the cell can be released with tremor release exercises. So these are two methods that I believe plays a huge role in actual cellular protection against the EMF war that's playing out around us, which is also very exciting.
I love the way you describe that. In my head, what I was seeing is the more acidic I was, the more of a
Mm,
conductor that I was, you know, because I was just ready to help, you know, the help the EMFs get from through my body,
mm,
and I become live, right? Like a live wire. So the more alkaline I became more like the trees and nature around us, and was able to just bypass that frequency, or like you say, let it
yeah,
be able to pass through you without it
absolutely.
affecting you.
And
So
also,
yeah, I love your take on that. And I'm excited. We need to
yes,
find a
that
way
would be
to measure
ideal.
them before we go in, you know,
Yeah.
see where people are sitting on before we start.
And also
And then
getting rid of the heavy metals, of course, you
yes.
know, that's the antennas and the microorganisms. Those are the two main things that the EMS really need to be able to be conducted, I suppose. It's the heavy metals and the microorganisms. There's a huge connection between how microorganisms are affected by electromagnetic frequencies. So you might have your natural microorganisms in your body that gets affected, and then you might have the foreign ones that shouldn't really be there, or they're in copious amounts, like your fungi. And this will have a huge effect then if EMFs hit you and you've got copious amounts of this. So there's that element of what as well, that you really want to get rid of the foreign things that's in your body that plays into this EMS, because we can't get away from the EMS at this stage until we can convince the rich guys to work with different technology. This is our life at the moment, and we're gonna have to find ways to deal with it better, you know.
Absolutely. And I think what we're offering is a great space for people to just become more healthy. I mean, I've only done it even within the first 4 days. I just felt the difference, the vibrancy, and the way that my body responded. So I have, if anyone's listening out there, I really recommend that you sign up, because it is transformational. And yes, you will mock at the beginning and you'll say, there's no way I can do it. In my head, I was like, really? But transformed. I tell you, it's incredible. It really is incredible, and I'm really looking forward to working with you and offering the TRE platform with it, with the weekly journey of the TRE to help people
Yeah,
release
absolutely.
whatever else is going on. So I could talk to you all day, Helene. We've got so many questions and so many topics. I think we should wrap it up now, because we'll be talking. Thank you
Thank you
so
so
much for your
much.
time.
Yeah, you
Okay.
too. Bye.
Lots of love. Bye.